Like, seriously, when I think about all the women I've encountered in my life, and I think specifically about the black ones, I can honestly say that there's only been one or two instances where they've been feminine.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. We are back this week again. Thank you for the well wishes for my cold. I am good now. I feel better, so that's good. Usually I can push through colds and stuff like that, but it was like, no, I'm not gonna do this. So, but thank you guys for being understanding, and we're back this week. So let's get started. So this is a video that we actually got sent a clip of this video, but then Kara told me about this a long time ago. Where this white guy is making an observation about black women and them being aggressive. And I thought it was interesting, and we were watching, I watched the Black Conservative Perspective. If you guys ever watch him, I like him a lot. He talks about it. We're going to watch this together. Let's go.
Texas. But this guy, he came out and said something, right? I think is an interesting question / conversation. He was responding to a Tick Tock in which the person in the TikTok, a black woman, said that society is making black women more masculine than they actually are, okay? As in, I guess black women are being stereotyped as masculine. And he responds to this TikTok in a way that was very, very, very controversial, especially as a white, straight person, okay? So I want to talk about that.
Society has this really weird obsession with stripping the femininity away from black women.
All right, look, I'm sure this is going to get me into trouble, but I want to hear everybody's opinion on this. And please understand, I realize I'm making this observation as a white dude. That's why I want to hear everybody else's opinion. So she says that society is stripping away the femininity of black women. However, throughout my life, I've met very few feminine black women. Like, seriously, when I think about all the women I've encountered in my life, and I think specifically about the black ones, I can honestly say that there's only been one or two instances where they've been feminine. The vast majority of black women I've encountered have been brusque and aggressive. And even though a ton of them have been absolutely gorgeous, they were significantly more masculine than they were feminine. In the way they acted, not the way they looked. So my question is, do you think it's society doing it? Or is it just the behaviors of black women in society today? But see, believe it or not, most men wouldn't view that as masculine. See, I think that's a misconception that women think. Y'all think driving tractors, wrestling hogs, going mudding, you think guys would view that as masculine. We absolutely don't. Girls that do that are just as feminine as the girls that like to wear dresses and go to brunch. When I say women acting masculine, I mean the way in which they talk to you. Their general demeanor. Because I've dated Southern Belles. And I've dated girls who probably could have been a ranch hand on Yellowstone. They both seemed very feminine to me. And their activities had nothing to do with it. It was just something about the way they talked, their attitude, the way they acted. Still came across as feminine. Even when they were covered in mud from head to toe. Holding a 30-06 trying to shoot something. Shit still came across as feminine. But I've met women in bars with nails, makeup, and hair perfectly done that came across masculine as It's not the activities, it's the attitude.
I know what he's saying. It's like there is a certain aggression and masculinity that black women have.
I mean, I don't know how to keep saying this, but I think that the single mother rate changes our dynamic.
It does.
It's really bad. You know what I mean? Compared to any other race of woman. Mm-hmm. Most black women are not raised with their father.
Right.
Most black women are raised with mothers who have to do both parts, have to go to work, and you know.
You just say that
You
brings
have to
up
understand
a
this generational for us.
yeah.
For the last 60 years, that's been our statistic.
That role puts us in a masculine.
Position. So whenever I see women that I know that are all single mothers, they're aggressive. They're sexually aggressive. They're like, a lot of people think, like, I guess what he was saying, like, just use Kim Kardashian, she's not even black. But people look at that as feminine. Women will say that's feminine, but it's not feminine. She's got masculine behavior.
Right.
What he's saying is, it's not the way you look, it's how you present yourself. Cardi B wears dresses and nails and makeup, but she's aggressive. Right. And Meg the Stallion is aggressive. You know what I mean? But I've been saying that, you know, about when we used to watch the Cosby Show. I always said that Claire was aggressive.
Feminine appearance.
Feminine appearance, but she was always putting men in their place.
Right.
And that was what was funny about her. That was her thing.
Yeah.
Always putting men in their place. She never cooked. You always saw Cliff cooking. Cliff also did, like, whenever the kids had parties, it was always him throwing the party. She was always at work. So to me, it's always been, well, in my lifetime, because I wasn't born until the mid 70s.
Right.
So my lifetime, black women have never been
feminine,
but they've also been, the number of single mothers has been really high since the late 60s. So that wasn't always.
Right.
I mean, in the 30s, 20s, 40s, if you look at those videos of women, those women look very feminine. But that was because the culture in America put women in their place. And black women wanted to be married. And they went to church. And so they understood biblically where they were to be. You know, now we're becoming more secular, and we have been since the late 60s. The single mother rate's high. The abortion rate is high. Women are overly sexual. Anytime you see a black woman in, not only just on TV, but just at the grocery store, bonnets on
we see it all the time.
Yeah,
like
bonnets on your head, twerking, all of that stuff is just not. And I think on some level, I don't know if you guys, because I know predominantly men watch us, but if you guys like it, I've been told by many black men that I act white. Because I don't act that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I always say, what is acting white?
Yeah.
Everything that acting white seems to be something we probably should be doing if you were really thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They think, oh, well, you go to school, you're smart, that's white.
Yeah.
You need to be ghetto. You know what I mean? Or if you act like a lady, that's being white. Act like, acting aggressive. Some black men really like aggressive women.
But acting civilized is considered white.
Right. And we're the one who that's what I'm saying. We're the ones that kind of condone the negative behaviors of ghetto behavior. Like we're all saying, oh, well, he acts black. We see a white guy that's kind of, acting ethnic. The only time we ever call them that is when they act like Ice Cube. Yeah. We never call them that if they act like Obama.
Ever.
Right. And so, it's just like, it is funny to me that I think that, I don't know if it's just black culture. I don't know if black men just like aggressive women sometimes too. You know what I mean? Well,
yes. Another thing is that it's glorified a lot by a lot of black men as well. Is that these women are getting men. See, I don't know. They are getting men. These masculine women. So it is kind of like the behavior will continue if it keeps getting validated. And then I also think a part of it is that black people are considered cool because you are. Shaking your head and you tell it like it is, and girl, I don't think so, and this kind of like the attitude, like we talked many times about the attitude of black women, specifically right now, black women. The attitude is so aggressive and like, you go girl, that whole thing got started. Remember all this, so when you get started with that whole sassy thing and we get that pass, it's like that is aggressive behavior. So I feel like, and we've just kind of taken it on, like a lot of black women are just taking it on as, oh, that makes me cool, it makes me different. You know what I mean? So I can be this because it's cool. It's cool. It's not cool to talk like normal. Yeah. It's cool to talk a little ghetto. It is, y'all. It's cool to talk a little ghetto. You know what I mean? And I don't, because it's not my, like, I would look stupid up here. Y'all would be like, well, why are you talking like that? Like, I don't even know how to do that, right? But to a lot of people, it's just cool.
But I mean, think about, like, the shows, like, the movies that we have, like, right now, like Woman King and,
it's aggressive.
What's the other one?
Yeah. What was that thing?
Wakanda.
Yeah.
Okay, so through the years, white women in Disney had always been, Cinderella, Little Mermaid. They're all light and fluffy and airy. Even Jasmine, who was supposed to be Middle Eastern. Yeah, they portrayed her as feminine and soft. And they all had spirit to them, but they were soft. But then, as soon as they start making things about black people, it's like Wakanda. The women look just like the men. Yeah. Woman King, where we portray a monarch, all of a sudden we look just like our men.
We're put in a leadership role.
And by the way, men like those movies. They like the movie. I remember I remember one of the things they're saying, like with the Wakanda, the first one, when the women had the shaved heads and they were all ripped and everything, and all the black men were like, "Oh, I like that." I was like, "Yeah, but how can you like that?"
Yeah.
But there's a feminization of black men also.
Yeah.
Where we've actually switched roles. There are some black men that are just feminine. They like aggressive women. They don't really want to take the lead. And I think that is something we have to ask ourselves as black people.
Yeah.
What is it that we really want? My grandfather married my grandmother in the 60s, or the late 50s.
Yeah.
But my grandfather was black, my mother's father, and he was married to my grandmother, my mother's mother, who was white. My white grandmother is much more submissive than when he divorced her and married a black woman.
Yeah.
But he stayed married to the black woman way longer than he was with my grandmother. He had 6 kids with my grandmother. But my step grandmother Billy, she was an aggressive woman.
She was very aggressive.
And my grandfather was a provider. He put things in, but almost I wonder, did he just prefer aggressive? You know, I don't know if it was because she was. It could be because he. You know, I think we do better when we're with our own race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to be honest with you, I mean, Billy was much more aggressive, forward, straightforward, and domineering.
Right.
I think than my mother's mother.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation though. Because, you know, we have to be truthful with this. There are black men who like women like that.
A lot
of them. Now, I would venture to say that a lot of those black men are not maybe whole and, you know, don't understand that they're leaders. They're supposed to be leaders. And when you get a woman like that, it can be she will take over. Because usually women, when they get like that, they'll take over. You know, but there's something to be said for the fact that there's a lot of black men that are with these women, and I'm not talking about just like sex. I'm talking about there are black men who are married to women like this.
I mean, not for nothing, but like even Meghan Markle and Harry.
Yeah, it's a good example.
I mean, when you look at Prince William with Kate, he's much more domineering over her, and she knows her place. She's not going to be. There's no woman king here.
Right. No.
He's the king. You know what I'm saying? But then when you see his brother with Meghan Markle, who has black in her, she's just domineering. She takes over, and he just accepts it.
It's very clear looking at that. So as I'm saying, it's like with the image of black women, like the lady on here was saying, what she was saying is that society, which I always have a problem with this, because the black woman in the beginning of this video, she was saying that society is making black women aggressive. Right? And I always feel like there's a little bit of not responsibility with that. It's not all society making you that way, but there's reasons for the aggression. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think black women are accepting.
It's not just society.
They're not making us that way. That we're accepting the role,
right?
Because we want a space on at the table. Yeah. So we'll take whatever we can get. So if that means that we have to act like men, you know, because in the black community, to me, it seems like I said. I mean, even with the Cosby Show. Just Cliff was just not as dominant as his wife. The queen is king in the black community. Yeah. That's just the way it's been since the 60s.
But our examples, just in entertainment and just in general, are that the matriarchy has slowly been taken over in the black community. The patriarchy, and then now it's just what it is, right? Like women are just kind of taking over, and I feel like that, you know, like that is, like you said, it's society. But I think that we've accepted
it. So I'm not saying that society
yeah.
doesn't try it, because like that's what I'm saying. The reason why I bring up pop culture and television is because it is telling. Yeah. So like on the show Good Times, for instance, Esther Rolle, who played Florida, the matriarch of the family, that show was a spinoff of the show Maude. Now on that show, she played Maude's maid, but she was married to James on the show. Now he didn't have a big part on the show, but when Norman Lear decided to give her a spinoff and give her own show, he wanted her to be a single mother.
Yeah, he wanted to be a single mother.
But she said, "I will do it only if you give me a husband for my kids." Now that was smart of Esther Rolle to do that. You're not going to make me a single mother when I'm married on this white show, and now you're going to give me my own. But they were like the first black show.
Norman Lear was going to perpetuate the whole single
poor,
mother,
ghetto, Cabrini Green, single mother norm. And Esther Rolle, to her credit,
she said no.
God love her. Yeah. She said no, unless you give me a husband for my kids. Yeah. And so they took James and they brought him to the show, and then she had a mother for kids. But they killed him off.
Yeah, they did.
After the 3rd season. You know what I mean?
But you know why that is, though? Because what people feel comfortable with seeing is a single black mother. And so it's only so long that you're going to be able to take to see the father there.
Yeah. The first, was Diane Carroll was one of the first black women to have her own show. She played a nurse on a show called Julia.
Yeah.
She was a single mother. But how they said it was her husband was killed in the war.
Yeah.
So, but still, there's this idea they just don't want to see black women with a husband.
Yeah, and I think when we see an outsider like a white man talk about this, it is, I think when this happens, I feel like you do have to listen up. Because it's showing from the outside of what we look like. So, and so what I would say is that I cannot disagree with this man. Because in my own personal life, I see what he's talking about. Pretty much almost all the black women that I encounter are aggressive. I would say almost all of them are in one way or another aggressive, and some are just downright like manly, you know. So I think that what he's saying is, he got criticized for it because he's a white man saying this. You see this white man saying this, but I would have to double down on what he's saying, because what I see personally,
Right.
I see aggressive black women more. I mean,
like
more than I see
I mean,
other ethnicities.
That's what I was saying. Like, I've been told by black men that I act white.
Yeah.
And I don't think I act white. I think I act like Kara.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to a lot of black men, they feel that I'm
Acting white.
or I have, you know, I do have white in my family. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying that.
But I identify as black. I'm a black woman.
And I just, because I speak proper English, because I don't want to use the N word all the time, because I don't wear, you know, clothes that don't fit me, because I don't, you know what I mean?
I got teased about that for years when I was younger in school, like in grade school and stuff. Oh my God. Like, I'm not in grade school, but middle school, for speaking proper or whatever. But my mother just taught us proper English. Like, she didn't do all the, my mother didn't like us with slang. When we were little, she wouldn't let us talk with slang. She wouldn't. So this is just how I talk.
We also weren't allowed to listen to hip hop music.
Yeah.
My mother was very clear on things. Like,
Yeah.
we weren't allowed to listen to hip hop music. Once we get into high school, you kind of can do it. But when we were younger, like when it was the 80s and like hip hop music we weren't allowed to listen to that. You know what I mean? We were very monitored on what we could watch. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why. Maybe the reason why we're like that is because
it's who you're raised
with. My mother my mother was big on. My mother's just a lady.
Well, she's big on manners. Like for instance, like my mother was really big on like
put your napkin in your lap.
And she what forks go with what. You know, don't put your elbows on the table.
She with your mouth closed.
Yeah, you don't eat until everyone else. My mother's very big on manners. Is what it is.
Wait till everybody sits down. Don't, you know what I mean? Like there was just a way.
But the ladylike part is she really played. My mother played up the ladylike part. So I think that society can get you. You know what I mean? It can't get you as a black girl growing up. It could get you. But it does kind of start at home.
Yeah.
So most of these women that are aggressive black women come from aggressive black mothers. They would have to. They could, very aggressive black mothers. So we didn't have an aggressive black mother. Our mother was very feminine and kind of mild. You know, and then she just taught us how to behave literally like ladies. Like, that was the most importance to her.
But she was raised by a white woman.
She was raised. Yes, that's true.
So I don't know if that just.
What does that mean?
I mean, I don't have that. I guess I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that. You know, I guess. Culture, but I also don't think I act white.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're saying because but that's the thing, is that acting white means acting right. See, this is what people have. This is the mix-up of everything. Is that if you are speaking well, if you are behaving properly, if you're enunciating your words, you know, then that means you're acting white, right? In the black world, that means that you're acting white.
Even though the fact that I'm conservative, I'm not a Democrat, and that's also, you're white.
That's white.
You know what I mean?
That's
it's
white.
like, it's just like, you're not, it's like when
like
you're
it's
like
weird.
you have to fit in this mold, and if you don't fit in the mold, even your own people won't accept you sometimes. And that is the thing, is like, no, people say, well, why didn't you go see Woman King? Why didn't you go see all these black movies? Because I don't like watching black people act like that. I don't want to watch Boys in the Hood anymore. I don't want to watch any of the stuff that perpetuates a narrative of us being slummy.
As you get older, you see the problem, though.
You start to see it.
Like,
I can't even listen to hip hop music anymore because I'm kind of embarrassed that, I mean, like I said, like it was a part of that culture because that was my generation, you know, the 90s, you know what I mean? But now when I look back at it, I think to myself, that's a lot of this NWA, all that should have ended a long time ago.
I don't really know how to even explain it. It just seems like when you're black and if you are aggressive black woman, you're just really cool. And I think that black people are the cool people. In society, we are. That we're supposed to be the cool people. You know, it's true.
But yeah, black.
You know what I mean? Like black women have like a swag that everybody kind of wants to have, and so when you don't have that societal swag, like then that's just not cool. So I think that a lot of black people don't want to they don't want to let go of that facade, even if they really wanted to, because if you do, you're not cool.
I mean,
you know,
this is the reason why I like the Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald's era.
Yeah,
because I think that's when black people were
classy,
were the most
Nat King Cole,
the class.
Yeah,
you know, the crooner generation, the you know the 40s, 50s, and you know the early 60s before the late 60s.
Right.
That's when we were really, you know. We were really in our element as far as our femininity and our masculinity. We wanted to look pretty. We wanted to act like ladies.
Yeah.
You never saw Ella Fitzgerald start twerking or showing the backside of her. She had class. Diane Carroll had class. You know what I mean? And I like Dorothy Dandridge had class. And so when I think of a black person, that's how I feel like I model myself out. That's why I say I don't think that I'm not acting black. I'm just not acting like this black.
Right.
And I don't like this black. I'm sorry. I know that's going to offend some people because I know that people think ghetto is just where you're from, you can't help it, but I think you can help it. You got to grow up sometimes. You can't be a child forever, you know what I mean? And you don't help yourself if you can't make yourself expand your world mentally. You can't just be trapped in a neighborhood for the rest of your life and then you never even attempt to look at something different or act different or try to learn something new.
And if your example is, you know, growing up is aggressive women around you, then that is probably what you're going to be.
And be honest, most black men are raised by single mothers. I mean, the single mother rates are very high. It's 74%.
So a lot of black
women. So a lot of black men and women are born to one woman. And if they do have a father, he's not living there. You know what I mean? And so they have broken homes. You know what I mean? And so that changes the way you see the world as you're growing. You know what I mean? So if you're a girl and you see your mom going to work every day and working hard for her money, and then she has to then come home and cook and she's angry and mad because everything's placed on her shoulders. You know what I mean? And then you have a father that may be a good guy, but just it's not here all the time because they don't live together and they're not together.
Yeah.
You know, it can start to make you feel like being a woman is being everything. And for boys, if they're just raised with a woman, they get mama boyed. And then they start thinking women are supposed to be everything.
I had a friend in New York I had this conversation with because his wife, he was married. I think they were married for a little while, but he was, anyways, his wife she was very aggressive. And when she would come into the store, you know, like where I worked, everyone would comment on how she was very aggressive with them, right? And I remember one time he and I were talking, actually he and I and a couple other people were talking about this, and they're like, your wife is so, like, she's like I don't want to say she's mean. She wasn't mean. She just was domineering. He said that his mom, he was raised by a single mother. He's raised by his mom, and he was like, and I think what happens is that a lot of men, when they start getting into relationships, they look for their mother. Like, you automatically go for what you know, right? So that's how my mother was. He was like, so when I feel like I'm just used to it. So when she's acting that way, I don't think about it. But then she's around other people and they see it. I'm like, oh, well, I guess she is kind of aggressive, right? He was like, but really, to me, I'm just used to it. And I always wondered this because like we were saying in the beginning, why there are men. I've always wondered, why do men have these types of women, right? But say they want feminine women and everything, but they have this very, you know, aggressive women around them. And it made me think about him because I was like, he was saying that, you know, when you're used to that growing up, most people are going to usually marry that, you know. And he was like, and it just I don't think anything of it. I don't think her as being mean or aggressive or anything. I just think I'm just used to it. And it makes me realize how many men, like I see so many men that are with these types of women. And I'm like, how are you doing this? You know, how are you doing this? And it just makes me realize that they're just a product of a single mother situation. They got mama boyed out, and then here we go. You know, but as long as men are going to keep signing off on this,
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Society has tried to do that.
Yeah.
That's true. But we have also co-signed on
Right.
it.
That's the
you know what I mean?
responsibility
And
part.
look, like I've said before, Joe Biden made his press secretary, his Supreme Court nominee, and his vice president black women. And he made a point to say he was going to pick black women. You know what I mean? Not black men.
Yeah.
Not a woman. But a black woman.
Yeah.
And so there is a push, but we're jumping right on that.
And that brings up our ego, though. See, those three things, that's going to make our ego.
Because I don't think men and women are the same.
So I understand what she's saying about the society part, but the part that I will always disagree with is the part where, you're only putting on society, because there's this other part called accountability. So, and responsibility for your own actions. So if society is doing this, right, is pushing this, black women are strong, you're the strong, you're the leader, and you're co-signing on it, that's ego. I feel like that's ego. You're just co-signing on it. I'm not trying to be a leader of, no, I feel like men should be the leaders.
But if this man was, this white man, if he was in the 1930s and 40s, he would see a whole different black woman.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
Because black women just were not
The
advertised
60s.
that way. No.
Some parts of the 60s he would.
You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like he would see black women a whole nother. It's just that when the late 60s happened, and the women's movement was, the women's movement
was
came
strong,
in and drove, it took the black women away from the civil rights movement.
Right.
Hey, guess what, black women? It's not just white men. It's not just whitey holding you back. It's your own men.
Yeah. And then we decided to get involved in that. And then here we are.
The single mother rate, the welfare system all started to rise. I mean, quickly from 65 to 69. It just started to, and then black men started leaving. The economy got bad.
And black women started getting mad because they're left with their own choices. See, you cannot, for him, this white man on here, you can call him racist. You can say that he is sexist because he's a man and he's white. But I am not either of those things. I'm neither of those things. And I'm telling you that when I encounter a lot of women that are black, they are very aggressive. They are. I know some that are not. I know perfectly lovely black women that are just not aggressive at all and feminine. But not a lot. I don't know a lot. You know what I mean? And so when I work with the public, so on a day-to-day basis, black women are more aggressive than any other race I've personally encountered. I'm not using it as statistics. I know that there's a bigger statistic here, but I feel like just in my day-to-day life, I do agree with what he is saying.
Not to mention, even the married ones.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. It's like you're not allowed to say that you're not, it's like if you're a black woman, you're not allowed to say that, the man is the head of you. Mm-hmm. And we did that Jesse Lee Peterson video where that pastor lady and her pastor husband, they co-pastor a church. She just would not say that her husband was ahead of her. Mm-hmm. She would not say it. You know what I mean? And here's a pastor, a woman who's preaching the Bible and is telling women that basically women's liberation's fine. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just like
there's so much ego built in this conversation. You know what I'm saying? This conversation to me, I feel like is a lot about the ego of black women. Because again, if we didn't get the pass, like we get that pass, and the pass is not a good pass, by the way, but we get that pass where we can be the smart mouth black girl.
It's like we're literally in the black community,
that.
Like are shape shifting each other. It's like black men are becoming like, that's what Jason Whitlock was talking that day about the NBA and how it looks like a runway show. Yeah. Like all of a sudden they're trying to take sports. I mean, Andrew Tate said that about football. Yeah. They're trying to take these masculine areas where mostly are dominated by black men and they're making them, Little Nas X, what's his name? That other guy, that Sassy or...
Oh, that one that did that. Yeah,
he did the video with. He's
the no fucking.
Yeah, he's Little Nas X friend.
Yeah, figures.
Right. And he was on, Little Nas X was on Mike Tyson's podcast talking about how, what's his name, Saucy?
Saucy. Maybe it's Saucy.
Saucy. And he was talking about, Saucy, he's Mike Tyson was like, who is that? You know what I mean? He was just like, he's just one of these guys that just don't give a fuck. And so it's just like, we need to stop. We need to give.
You see that?
Do you understand? Yeah. It's just like Little Nas X, this is what they want men to be. Mm-hmm. And they want women to be Cardi B.
Different. The culture's different, and then so the message is different for us. So our message as black women growing up in society, and sometimes in our homes, is you dominate, and you can be a smart aleck, and it's funny, and you can roll your head, and you can snap your fingers, and you can tell the person, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that thing where it's like, it's ego. You know what I mean? And I think that is a huge reason why we are the way that we are. You know, I think that is exactly what it is.
And I don't know how many times I have to say, you know, it's not a good look.
It's not a good
It's not
look.
cute. It's not
cute.
good, black
It's not
women.
cute.
This isn't good look. You know what I mean? And then I don't know how many times we have to have some girl in our comments.
Yeah.
I can't believe in 2022 we had two black women sitting here telling black women that they need to get back in the kitchen and they need to be subservient to men. Yeah. Well, guess what? I'm saying that.
And get ready for 2023.
Right.
It's going to be the same conversation.
I'm saying that because we are not an attractive group of people.
We're not.
For any race of man.
We're not
anymore.
even a desired group of people. You know, we've talked about that. We're not even a desired group of black women are not a desirable mate. Think, like, black women, if you were watching this, think about that real fact.
I think the biggest mistake black women are making is we don't know how to shut up.